promise was broken for me.
I suppose it was around 1992. I was sitting at the dinner table at Stark, Florida, with a longtime pastor friend and his family, Roman Alvarez. We were to be in a concert at his church house the next evening. Well, the phone rang, and Sister Betty got up and answered it, and she said, "It's for you, Rob." It was my twin brother, Rick, with some startling information I'll share with you in just a moment. Folks, most families have a skeleton or two in their closets, and we had a couple. Usually, though, there is some sort of rumor about the skeleton. Of course, my family was like the good folks on Hee Haw. They never repeated gossip, never repeated a rumor. You'd have to listen real close the first time. But in this case, Rick nor I, either one of us had the slightest hint of what was about to be exposed. The story is that our dad, Ben, had a significant other prior to he and Mom getting together. This woman was in the real estate business. Of course, later in life, Dad also was in the real estate business too. And he was so proud of the fact that he had sold one particular piece of commercial property 4 different times in his career. Apparently, his significant other must have started that tradition in the early 50s, because she also had sold a piece of property 4 times. And that's a great accomplishment unless you sell it 4 times in one day to 4 different people. I may be embellishing that a bit. She might not have done it all in one day, but certainly it was enough times to enough individuals that she ended up in the women's prison at Ansted, West Virginia, and she was pregnant. Eventually, a bouncing baby boy was born to her, and that boy became a ward of the state of West Virginia. Meanwhile, Daddy got drunk and married Mama. And if you knew our mom, you'd know why that was necessary. Now, I love Mom, and I talk to her every Wednesday on Skype from her nursing home at New York. She's almost 92. Well, my dad's name was Ben, and he and Mom married, and they ended up having children, and I was one of 5 siblings. Started off in 1952. Mom and Dad had their firstborn. It was a boy, and they appropriately named him Ben after his daddy. Then Sister Joyce came along. After that, in 1956, twin brother Rick. 31 minutes later, I emerged, followed a couple years later by our younger sister Janet, who was named after one of the Lennon sisters from the Lawrence Welk Show. Now, remember that little boy that was born at the women's prison? Well, he was placed in a foster home only about 4 miles from where we grew up. He was in the 6th grade at the same school when my brother was in the 1st grade, Brother Ben. They rode the same bus. That boy grew up and he always knew that Daddy was his father. So what Brother Rick was calling to tell me was that a guy had shown up at Dad's house bearing a striking resemblance to Daddy. But there was one more interesting bit of information. Guess what his name was? Well, he was born in the women's prison, and his mommy named him after his daddy. Any guesses? That's right. She named him Ben. So our dad's name was Ben. We were raised with Brother Ben, and now we have another Brother Ben. Sounds like a sitcom, doesn't it? What does that have to do with this song? Shortly before Brother Ben met his new family, he had an experience with the Creator of the universe. He was thrilled with his completed family and our acceptance of him, and oh, did he ever love the Scripture. He'd call me at least once a week, and we'd talk for hours about the Word. There were a lot of things that to me were Bible 101, but they were brand new to him, and I loved hearing him discover these nuggets for the first time. And then there were a lot of things that Father would reveal to him from the Word that were fresh and new to me. One day around 1994, he called me and he said, Robbie, I got to ask you a question. I said, okay, buddy, go ahead. He said, Robbie, has God ever broken a promise? Well, I thought about it for the longest time, and I finally said, Ben, my initial thought is absolutely not. He's never broke a promise, but I'm thinking you probably have a different idea. And he said, oh, yeah, what about Jesus? I said, oh, my goodness, of course. God made a promise. Messiah would come. He fulfilled that promise over 2,000 years ago. And then he broke that promise on Calvary's Hill. My co-writing buddy, the late Shannon Childress, and I, by the Spirit of the Most High, fashioned this song. We recorded it on a studio album first in 1995, and the footage you're about to see here was from a live concert at Columbus, Ohio in the summer of 1996, and the song is called God's Broken Promise.
So we want to sing a song now about God's broken promise. You made a promise, now you must move heaven and earth. With your name on the line, seems it will cost much more than it's worth. A promise is made to be broken, some say. When your word is given, there's no other way. You hope for a difference they'll see, 'cause you made this promise to keep. But God made a promise, then he moved heaven and earth. With his name on the line, the price cost him all he was worth. God sent Jesus, his son, to Abraham's seed. When his word was given, he knew our need. With his almighty honor at stake, well, he made this promise to break.
God's promise was broken for man.
Bleeding, bruised, broken by sin. A promise fulfilled on Calvary's hill. For all the world to see, God's promise was broken for me. And there's no other way it could be. When God's promise was made, his promise was kept. When God's promise was broken, his promise was broken for me. When God's promise was broken, his promise was broken